lot of other news. We're talking about the Russian story. Let's get into the details of the story that actually connects Donald Trump with the Kremlin, certainly his business organization. So the Washington Post reports that a top executive from Trump's real estate company emailed the personal spokesman, I'm not making this up, emailed the personal spokesman for Vladimir Putin because Trump wanted to build a Trump Tower in Moscow. Now,
but I thought
the
there
good
was
news is,
Russia.
though, Mika, the good news is they said they didn't have contact with anybody in Russia. So this couldn't have happened during the campaign. Hold on, let me look at this Post story.
Wait, check the calendar.
Oh, wait a second. It happened during the presidential campaign. Oops. The email from longtime Trump aide Michael Cohen represents the most direct outreach documented by a top Trump aide to a similarly senior member of Putin's government, according to the Washington Post. The reporting also says it provides an example of Trump business officials talking straight to the Kremlin, seeking assistance in advancing Donald Trump's business interests. Now, Cohen, who says he discussed the deal with Trump several times, tells NBC, quote, to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Trump was never in contact with anyone about this proposal other than me on 3 occasions, including signing a non-binding letter of intent in 2015. Now, this is what I want to know, Mika. Because there's more, but I want to know, did Donald Trump help Cohen draft that statement on Air Force One? Because it sounds a lot like the adoption statement that Donald Trump helped them draft when he lied, when he got busted lying on Air Force One because his lawyers were on the ground. He was in the air. So hold on, let me get this straight. A guy who is obsessed with Russia is going to send Michael Cohen, say, hey, you go take care of Vladimir Putin and getting a letter of intent for us to build Trump Tower in Moscow. Hey, I'm busy. I'm not. Mark Halpern. I mean, come on, Mark. This is, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
You just keep thinking, okay, well, they couldn't have done anything dumber than this. But they just did. And by the way, this links back with something I said in yesterday's fun-filled episode of Morning Joe, which was Donald Trump never thought he was going to win the presidency.
That's it.
This was all a money-making scam. He thought Jeb Bush was going to beat him. He never thought so he was going to, straight out of the Steve Miller Band, he was going to take the money and run. So let me use the position I'm in right now and try to get that tower in Moscow.
Branding. I don't know a lot about international real estate deals, but I don't think too many Americans email Vladimir Putin's spokesperson to try to get help with deals. I just don't think that's that common. And this is obviously very similar to the Don Jr. meeting in Trump Tower, which is, as all this scrutiny has taken place over the last year of the relationship between the Trump world and Russia, these guys were sitting on this stuff, knowing full well.
They were lying.
Knowing full well.
No contact with Russia.
It's incredible to me, and I believe we can reliably assume that this is not it.
Yeah, well,
there's more coming.
You know, when you're ordering those Ronco knives and halfway through the commercial they go, but wait.
There's more.
And there is. The New York Times published the contents of an email between Cohen and the Trump business associate who was pushing the Moscow deal. In one exchange, Felix Sater wrote this, quote, our boy can become president of the USA and we can engineer it. I will get all of Putin's team to buy in on this. I want to read that again because I don't think I get the full flavor of that quote.
Buddy, our boy.
Buddy, our boy can become president of the USA and we can engineer it. I will get all of Putin's team to buy in on this.
I think that's bad.
There have been attempts in the past.
Wait, hold on. What did I tell you? Did I tell you there was more?
Oh, you did.
You're going to get a blender with
There was more. If you call now.
You get a second Donald Trump Russia story.
Yeah.
You must pay shipping and handling.
All for $19.95.
There have been attempts in the past to distance from Sater and suggest he was not a Trump intimate. This is further evidence that he was. And to be trying to make a deal with Russia at that time and then to act like they had no business interest in Russia, there's no doubt that not just are the congressional investigators interested in this, but so's the independent counsel. And I'll say one more thing. Stuff is leaking out. Every time documents go to the Hill, it leaks out.
Yep.
This is going to be the fall of leaks from the Hill on this investigation.
What about Cohen's investigation with the Wall Street Journal?
We did an interview with the Wall Street Journal.
I mean, yeah, his interview, yeah.
Where he talked about.
I just say the name and I
you
just
get
investigation
confused.
comes up. My bad.
He is due to be testifying before Congress. It's unusual for someone in a position like he is to do an interview. But he's talked to the press throughout his time association with Donald Trump, and he's trying as best he can in the interview to limit Donald Trump's exposure on this. But even based on just what we know, there is exposure there that goes beyond what they acknowledged happened.
Well, I believe him. I think it was about adoption.
So, Joe,
they wanted to adopt a lot of Russian kids and put it in
no,
the Trump
I don't
Tower.
think so.
Like 5 floors devoted to orphans.
5 floors just to orphans.
Joe, you were asking if Cohen drafted or Trump drafted that email. There's this other one. The NBC investigative unit has reporting about the special counsel's investigation into Russia and President Trump's role in one part of that puzzle. 3 sources familiar with the matter say Robert Mueller and his team are keenly focused on the president's role in crafting a response to a published article about a meeting between Russians and his son, Donald Jr.
You mean where Trump lied? Where he drafted the statement that was a lie?
Correct.
Okay.
The sources tell NBC News that prosecutors want to know what Trump knew about the meeting and whether he sought to conceal its purpose. It stems from the June 2016 meeting between several Russians and top members of the campaign inside Trump Tower. At first, the White House said the president had weighed in on the response, but the Washington Post later reported that Trump had dictated it. Attorney Ty Cobb, who's representing the White House, maintains the president had a minimal role in crafting the response, and he sees nothing criminal. I'm confused.
Minimal, you mean dictating, then yes, Ty,
and
it
lying.
was minimal.
Can I say one thing?
I would love for
Somebody
you.
lied.
We haven't gotten to you yet.
I know. Real quick, though. We are headed towards, whatever else happens in the investigation, we are headed towards the day when Robert Mueller puts Donald Trump under oath.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump's history of testifying is to not be meticulously careful. And that day will
You're saying he's going to perjure himself.
I'm saying he's going to be putting himself in a lot of peril.
He would not be the first president to perjure
under
himself.
extraordinarily close questioning.
Yeah.
And if this report from NBC is correct, and I'm sure it is, someday the president's going to have to testify under oath, and it's going to be a very difficult.
Right. While all this is going on, by the way, while Republican fruitcakes, a couple of assorted Republican fruitcakes on Capitol Hill, Mike Barnicle, are actually putting pieces of legislation on the floor trying to undercut Bob Mueller and obstruct justice for Donald Trump using the legislative process for it. So, Mike, talk about this Russian story and the fact that there's back and forth business dealings, and they're trying to actually build Trump Tower while Donald Trump is coming on our show refusing to say that Vladimir Putin, I'm confused, Vladimir Putin is the guy who murders journalists.
Well, I mean, if you check the timing of all of these stories, the commingling of them, and look at the calendar, clearly it was a marketing exercise, a branding exercise, as you pointed out, his candidacy at the beginning. They did not think that they were going to win the presidency because he was more interested in his business assets and promoting them in Russia. The second part of this incredible and constantly growing story is that and I've spoken to several people in Washington over the past several days, the focus, the principal focus of the Mueller special prosecutors team right now is indeed Russia. And one of the keys is General Flynn. And his role in pulling together the administration prior to the inauguration, and it has to do with the sanctions imposed on Russia. And if they can tilt Flynn, if they can flip him, the president indeed will be under oath, and it will not be, law school. It won't be like a deposition. It'll be professionals really grilling down.
Trying to get the truth.
At this point, Heidi and then Rick, it's an awkward position that Republicans are in, but isn't it becoming increasingly clear that this is not going in a good direction?
Of course not. And I think the NBC reporting is actually very important just because if you look at Mueller's history and the way that he conducts investigations, look, for example, at the Enron investigation and what the first wave of charges came out. They were obstruction of justice charges. So if he is looking at that meeting, like Mark says, yes, we are moving towards the president ultimately testifying. But even before that, you have experts like Richard Painter saying, okay, it's not it's not illegal to lie to the press, but something like that, proof that the president intentionally tried to mislead us, the public, could go towards an obstruction of justice charge. So I think it is instructive to look at past investigations and the way that Mueller has conducted them. And of course, when we get back, these lawmakers are going to be taking measure of what's happening with this investigation and where it's going, and it's not in a good direction.
Rick?
Yeah, Rick, what's your takeaway from this flood of news?
I think it's actually pretty simple. First, Donald Trump never thought that he would win the presidency. I think that's clear. Two, he was never prepared to be president. And Tom Hamburger reports that the original email actually went to what was equivalent of a info email. That's sort of the catch-all Dropbox, which says that they didn't really have any significant contacts in Moscow. Whereas you look at all the other hotel chains, they have multiple properties in Moscow after they were able to open up, and Donald Trump. But it's inconceivable that Donald Trump wouldn't have known about this. He was, in some reporting that I've seen, that they were going to build the world's largest building in Moscow. That was going to be
and there's no way Donald Trump. Right. I mean, when
it was just a little project.
When Cohen lies and says Donald Trump didn't know anything about this, I feel quite confident saying he's lying, because Donald Trump was trying to build possibly the world's largest building in Moscow, and he doesn't know anything about it.
Right.
That's
no, it's absurd.
It's absurd.
And look, the fact that Trump he wasn't prepared, and when his statement, I lost my train of thought.
You know what's so fascinating?
So many details to keep track of.
Well, there's so much swirling around. It's hard to keep. I mean,
It's so stressful.
Here, though, Mika, is the takeaway, and I think we've all sort of said this morning. The takeaway is that Donald Trump was winging it. And he didn't think he was going to get elected president of the United States. He said as much. He didn't think he was going to get elected president of the United States.
When he wrote the statement for his son,
right,
that was winging it. That was something he could get away with in business. That's why I say he's not prepared to be president.
That's what he, and
you
that's
cannot
what he,
do that when you're president.
That's what he always does.
And that's what's going to lead to the Mueller investigating that, which could lead to tax returns and everything else that he doesn't want to be exposed to.
So he's winging it. To finish my point, this is what's going to get them all in trouble. You know, when Jared Kushner meets the Russian banker, right? You know why he met the Russian banker? Because he was winging it. He didn't know whether he was going to be in business or he was going to be in politics. If he's going to be in politics, because he was still trying to figure it out. But he takes a meeting, winging it, going, well,
but then
if I'm in politics, then maybe this is a good contact. If I'm in business, I can get financing for a business that badly.
And it's well known he needed financing for 666 Fifth Avenue.
Winging it, and they're all going to get in trouble because of it.
Well, in addition, if you're in the special prosecutors team and you're climbing the ladder of this investigation, given the Trump organization, the way it operates, you're not talking about Microsoft here. You're talking about a small handful of people.
Mom and pop.
Yeah.
Actually, let's be clear. Pop.
Yeah.
There's no mom there.
Pop.
It's just Pop. And since it's just Pop knows about everything. Pop knows about the letter that he's drafting where he's lying on Air Force One. Pop knows that Cohen is going over there trying to build the largest building in the world. Pop knows everything that they're doing.
You're bordering
in
on
business.
Dr. Seuss.
Pop doesn't go, hey, you know what? Just you guys do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Michael Cohen's going to come back to him and say, hey, Pop, I've gone out and I've sent these letters to Moscow, and guess what we're doing? And Pop goes, what? We're building the largest building in the world in Moscow. And Pop goes, that's a fantastic idea. No, Pop knows from the beginning everything.
Yeah, here's what he didn't say. He didn't say, I'm so busy with the presidential campaign, don't bother me with Trump Organization business. We know, saw it with our own eyes, all of us did. He stayed involved in managing the Trump Organization through the general election. So this notion that this was bifurcated, and by the time of the New Hampshire primary, he was really not focused on
Pop
this.
thinks everyone's stupid.
He was directly involved in the Trump
Well, it's still not separated. All the other procedures they took were all show. None of them were real.
All right, back now to Texas. We want to get a